Hello, and welcome to Cultist Simulator, Bring the Dawn. This is Beldrin, back recording. I know it's been a while for those of you who have watched some of my older videos, but looking forward to diving into a new game. Cultist Simulator is a really interesting card game, sort of deck building with some roguelike elements. And we won't be playing a whole lot of it because really the whole point of this game is trying to figure stuff out. And if you watch me figure a whole bunch of stuff out, it will not be nearly as fun. So really just kind of an introduction to Cultist Simulator. Let's dive in. You start out as the aspirant, alone in this chilly city with my useless education and my dreams. What now? Could I become something more? Maybe. Let's find out. So the game works. You can see we're sitting at a table. Looks like we need to rename ourselves here. We'll be, surprisingly, Beldrin. So the game works. You'll eventually, throughout the course of the story, unlock these action tiles, which you can see here. This one happens to be work. Earn a living or practice the invisible arts. In this case, because we're an aspirant, our only choice right now is to work on menial employment. So literally just click and drag the card over. Another shift at the hospital. Another shift mopping the darkened hallways, delivering post to hollow-eyed invalids, trundling corpse-laden gurneys to the basement. We just have to wait for our timer. Only about 10 seconds. And there we are. Halfway through your shift, the head porter beckons you aside. "We won't require your services any longer," he says. "Here, your last payment. We've paid you through the end of the month. I have lost my job. At least now I have a little time to rest, and my health improves." And we have unlocked Dream. One of the things, now that we've unlocked the actual bar down here, pausing is one of the most important things in this game, because if you've noticed with Dream, stuff will just keep on happening, whether you want it to or not, unless you pause the game. So what we're looking at, so we got a health, we have 2 funds, which right now doesn't seem like a big deal, but we'll see what happens with funds in a little bit. The game has 3 primary statistics. You have your health, eventually we'll get passion, and reason. Right now all we have is health. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. Recall my dreams. Once again I dream of a glow beneath the filthy skin of the world, the light through the black wood, the pale door, the old man. Unpause it, let that timer run out. Began when I spoke to the old man in the hospital. He knew my name, but he's dead now. The pneumonia. Why do I dream of him still? What is the cobalt light in my dreams? Time is now passing. So we'll collect everything. We now have our first passion. Reorganize stuff just a little bit. And we have contentment. Contentment is really important. Unfortunately, it only lasts for 60 seconds. So one of the things that you'll run into in Cultist Simulator is that some cards are permanents. They last until they're used or something removes them from the game. Others are more fleeting, like contentment, and has its own countdown timer of 60 seconds, which is one of the reasons that actually making sure you've paused the game when you're trying to figure out what to do next is one of the most important things, because otherwise you'll just start losing these cards. So now we have work, we have dream, and we have our new one, which is study. A change in the air. I need funds to live, but perhaps this recent upset in my circumstances is a secret blessing. Is there something to my dreams? There is a change in the air. while we're waiting, we are also going to dream of passion, the moonlit road. I know this dream. A road crests a hilltop and the air is silver bright. Now you notice that when we did that, it unlocks another option here, where we could put a lore card. We don't have any lore cards, so we won't be doing that. We can also work, which we will also be doing, with health. Unskilled labor, backbreaking work for meager pay, is just the best I can do. Well, it is right now. This game's kind of a lot of waiting in between things, but that's okay. One of the other nice features is that you can fast forward, which makes the timer go about double. So we'll do that in the interest of time. Looks like everything's going to get done at just about the same time, which is kind of nice. We're going to lose our contentment. And we'll go ahead and pause again. We have a new card, or a new action, which is literally time passes. Time, the sundial's shadow, passes. I must have funds to live, or I will become ill. And starve, which is, you know, always fun. Alright, so our work is done. Our work is successful. The day is done, and so am I, but I've earned my pay. Working with health does fatigue the card, which basically means it has a 60-second cooldown before we can use it again. But we got a vitality out of it. I'm not going to say much about vitality right now. If it comes up, I'll address it a little bit. But again, most of the fun of this game is actually playing through and exploring these things, so I'm trying not to spoil too much. Our study is updated. A bequest arrives. A letter from a solicitor, the old man at the hospital, the one I dream of, has named me in his will. I'll hear more soon. The plot thickens. So we just saw, if you noticed here, one of the other mechanics of Cultist Simulator, which is that time passes has this little magnet icon. Whenever you see this little magnet icon, it means that if you have a card it's looking for down here, whether you want to or not, it's going to get sucked up here, and you're pretty much going to have to deal with it. Alright. So this is every 60 seconds or so, it is going to eat a fund, which is why working is really important. Alright, so we'll let our dream expire here. We'll get updated. Nightmare, the cleansing dawn. The sun is rising. It won't spare me. Well, looks like we'll get to talk about a new card type here in just a moment. Off to a great start from that perspective. There we go. Now I can slough off my flesh, patch by patch, tugging the tendons free like fibers picked from teeth. My skin lies like a shredded blanket. The sun heaves itself above the horizon with a triumphant battle yell. The light falls like acid on my naked bones. Pain wakes me. My bones will throb for days. So that's fun. So we got a fascination card. Fascination. Light leaks through the cracks. My mind is brighter than it ever was. The higher I rise, the more I see. So probably something I should have pointed out earlier. You can actually click on a card, and it will tell you kind of a little summary of what it is and how it might be able to be used. Vitality, for instance. Exercise or something rarer has invigorated me. Use another vitality and improve your abilities. It lasts only 3 minutes if unused. You can also click on the different aspects. So you can see that vitality has an aspect of heart, of advancement, and influence. Won't say too much more about those. Health fatigued gives you an aspect of ill health. A until that fatigue is gone in just under 40 seconds. And passion has no aspects, it just is. So we'll let the timer run out on our study here. A bequest arrives. The old man has bequeathed me a sum of money and a packet of peculiar papers. Poetry, riddles, metaphysical speculations. For the first time in months, here is some fuel for my reason. And we have unlocked his study. And our first reason. We've also received a bequest. A package of peculiar papers for my correspondence executor. I must study it using either passion or reason. I think we are going to study it. And I think we're going to use reason, mostly because my passion is exhausted. I'll examine each item with meticulous care. We'll go ahead and fast forward and see if we can get some more of our cards back here. My health's almost back, which is nice, and passion is a little bit of time there. Ooh. Also, as part of that bequest, apparently we got bumped up to 11 funds, which is nice. We are, now that our health is back, going to dream of health this time. An early night. With luck, I'll wake refreshed. That's how you know it's a game, when going to bed early. You know, if I could go to bed early and actually wake up refreshed, that'd be great. Sometimes this will provide contentment, often it will do nothing, and occasionally it will create fascination or dread. Dread we haven't seen yet, but don't worry, we will. Alright, the study didn't take long at all. My correspondent describes my dreams exactly. They use names that are instantly familiar. The house, the wood, the hours, the glory. They knew secrets beneath time and the skin of the world. A new curiosity burns in me. There is a note here, directions to a bookshop that does not advertise its wares. We have new things. We have our first secret, a watchman's secret. It has been expressed like this. Each hour has its color, but color exists only where there is light. We also got our first aspect of lore, which is exciting. We received directions to Moreland's, which is the bookshop. We received our first temptation, which is enlightenment. It has occurred to me that I hold the key to wisdom. This card will allow you to win an enlightenment victory. If you upgrade it far enough, dreaming about it might advance or change it. I have no idea what that means, and I have been playing this game for a while now. But that's the fun of the game, is once you figure out what something, or how something works, or how you can use it, it's really cool. You get that, just that brief moment of, oh, that's how that works, that's awesome. So we have cryptic directions to the obscure address of a certain Moreland, a dealer in the rarer sort of books. So we'll go ahead and study that, because that's going to become incredibly useful. The direction to Moreland shops are cryptic. When one deals in the kind of books my correspondent studied, one must be circumspect. Alright, don't have our health back because we're dreaming of health. Passion is almost back. Go ahead and let the timer run. You may notice that I'm sort of grouping things together. You can do that, you can not do that, it's really personal preference. I just kind of like having the stuff that could be used in various places in, you know, kind of nearby. It helps me organize my own thoughts and kind of what I'm going to do next, which is nice. And there's our study, and there's our next new tile, or action tile, which is going to be Explore. quiet street at an ill-favored bend in a lesser river. A soft yellow light through a grimy window. Miss Borland nods as I enter, but doesn't rise. I never ask the names of my clients, she informs me, before I have time to introduce myself. We now have our first location. Borland's shop. Explore. Now that I found a location, I can explore it. We also got an occult scrap. So, we are going to study an occult scrap. With nothing. Okay. So one thing, again, that I probably should have talked about earlier, if you pick up a card, I'm going to close that so you can see it a little bit better. If you pick up a card, it'll highlight a particular tile where it may be able to be used. It doesn't always mean it's usable in that tile, but more often than not, there's something you can do with it with the right combination of things, like Temptation, Enlightenment. Technically, I can move it over here, but I can't do anything. The final fulfillment of a desire is often a conclusion. It's not enough to hope I stand or fail on my deeds. So, nothing we can do with that as an example. Instead, we will research or study notes on a possible collaborator. My correspondent had recorded his observations of me. He believed I had potential. He recorded his observations of someone else, too. With time and study, perhaps I can find that person. Let's find out. I have a name, a description, a few tantalizing details, but there are 1,000 faces in this city. So we will... There we go. We will explore an occult scrap. There are places in the city where I can find extraordinary things, if I can sift the clues out of history and rumor. And our health is still being dreamt of, so... go ahead and restart the timer. And maybe fast forward it just a little bit. There we go. Alright, took another fund. Our dream is done, and we got a contentment. An early night. Sleep is a long, dark ocean, but sometimes when we reach the farther shore, there is lamplight. So you may have noticed that the fascination went away. That's because it went over here. A trembling in the air. The sun flickers like a shadow. Dreams ripple behind the surface of mirrors. I must be careful not to drift from the waking world. Fascination may provoke visions. Because that's what you want. Alright, I think we are going to dream about passion with our Watchman's Secret. The Bleached Way. I can sleep in a room without colors, bleach the sheets, whitewash the walls, dye my hair, and paint my skin. I should point out, as you probably noticed from colors here, this is a game made in England, so a lot of the spelling is her Queen's English. Right. Yeah, I think we're gonna work again with health. Keep our funds up. Seems like a good idea. We have a non-permanent tile to go with our other non-permanent tile here. An acquaintance. I await an answer to a letter from our potential collaborator. And now I have an address. I'll dispatch a letter and propose a meeting. We have unlocked talk. Oh yeah, talk is a permanent one, sorry. There's a lot of stuff to keep track of. Move this guy back over here for now. And maybe shift some stuff. I guess I can actually pause it while I'm doing this. There we go. So it looks like our occult scrap exploration might be the next thing done, unless talk finishes first. Speed that up just a little bit. There we go. This place merits closer investigation. We found Strathcohen's residence, the house of Mr. Strathcohen, a collection of rare objects. Strathcohen will not sell his treasures, but a sufficiently cunning accomplice might gain entry. Ah, the joys of breaking and entering. The reply to your letter is courteous, if cautious. They're intrigued by how you found their name, intrigued enough to meet you. And we have our first hireling, or acquaintance, excuse me, not hireling yet. Usually malleable, but they'll probably never amount to much. You might be able to recruit this acquaintance as a follower. We shall see. Alright, we have nothing new to study. I could talk to the hanger-on, but there's no real point in doing that yet. So instead, we are going to visit Moreland's shop, which does cost a funds, but allows us to add to our library. It takes time to sort the gold from the dross, the wheat from the chaff, the blood from the water. If I buy enough books, I'll find something interesting. I mean, what cultist simulator doesn't have a creepy bookstore? I mean, if it doesn't, they're just doing it wrong. Speed it up a little bit while we're waiting for things to complete. Yes. Several things finished, and we have a new... the wrong kind of attention. The city is rife with journalists and detectives and other meddlers. How long will they leave me in peace? Another magnet card, so as things pop up, possibly like Mystique down here, we can actually egg on our adversaries, and they can become, we'll just say, worse for now. Alright, got another fund. Oh, move our Mystique. Keep this center block open. Color exists only where there is light, and the wood is the place where light does not walk. In the dream, I close my eyes and walk, stumbling, bruising my feet and knees. At last, the undergrowth before me grows too thick to pass, and when I open my eyes, I am adrift among black trees. Shadows flutter. My feet will know the way back to this place. We have unlocked the wood. I've learned the path to the wood, the tangled darkness that grows around the walls of the mansis, though the mansis has no walls. I can dream with this to return to the wood. Well, that's exciting. We also have a buzzing in the brain. Ingirum omnis nocte et consumi snip, snip, snip. A second-order influence, apparently apparent to the perceptive, instantly recognizable to an adept. This can be used in some rites to summon minions, and some minions will leave it lingering when they are destroyed. So that's exciting. Our journey into the occult is going quite well. So we went to the occult bookshop and bought a collection of poetry. The poet makes himself a seer about an immense, long, deliberate derangement of all the senses. The opposite of wisdom, thankfully. But we can study it to gain a glimmering lesson learned, which can increase our passion. So we're going to go hold on to that for now. And we are going to go back to the bookshop and see what else we can get. And... I don't think we're ready for that yet. let's go ahead and dream of... Actually, no. Let's study reason. The world is awash with printed words. Even the newspapers contain knowledge. Sometimes. Demo a little bit of how to actually increase your base statistics. I just have 177 seconds on vitality, which is good. Nothing to really dream about right now. We'll just go ahead and wait. Ooh, actually, instead what we'll do, we are going to talk to our hanger-on, because together we might be more. Here is someone I might work with, a companion or a follower, but first I must give them something to follow. Society, a sodality, an order, a cult. I'm safe for now. The meddler's attention must be elsewhere. A relief. And there we go. I have begun my true work. The authorities will take an interest in it. I must be ready for them. You have begun to establish your cult. We'll need a little more before you can recruit followers. And we got our first notoriety. Tradition and compulsion, old, new, or both together. Add lore to determine your cult's founding principles. Well, I believe our doctrine is going to be a watchman's secret. Establish the Mirror of Glory. A cult society dedicated to the understanding of the light that leaks from a fiercer place. I mean, establishing a cult is fun. Why else would you do it? We'll just ignore this notoriety mystique. Just you know, don't need to worry about those. They can live over here. There we go. See, everything's fine. All right. Ooh. We received Gildersleeve's Latin Grammar. Just what you need to refresh your knowledge of Latin. In my current mobile game of Cultist Simulator, I have been trying to get this book for about a week and a half. So the fact that we just got it on my first playthrough kind of figures. I'll show you why that's important and what you can do with it once our study is freed up. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything we can do with the buzzing in our brain. That sounds familiar. I am seeing things. Paintings whisper, windows wink. I know these things are not true, but how can I be certain? You can defeat visions with dread or a fleeting memory. Otherwise, you will lose yourself completely at Fascination 3. If you're familiar with the Cthulhu mythos or Lovecraftian horror, that's what's going on here. Who needs sanity? It's overrated. Our purpose demands we recognize truths that chill the spirit. I must give of myself. I don't have anything to put there right now. We'll find out if this is one of those that just keep cycling until you have the right thing, or if we fail that. I don't quite remember. We have health. Actually, we have health that'll be done, and passion that will be done before that timer runs out, so we'll be fine. Oh boy. We also just got an affliction, which we'll talk about that in just a minute. So we'll not be using health, which I'm glad that happened just then. won't take passion. And it won't take health, so it's looking for reason, which will be done in 2.1 seconds, so that's good too. So let's pop up here. Sickness. I've become unwell. If an illness cannot consume health, it will kill you, unless you have special protection, which right now we definitely do not. So that will suck our health right up into there. The words contain knowledge. Now I contain it. It's a little like theft, a little like feasting, and a little like the progress of an infectious disease. So now we have reason. I think. Yay. Oh, my reason. Literally, my reason. Not your reason for doing it, your literal reason card. And we got a restlessness. We're gonna stop ignoring these so I can keep an eye on the timer. Let's go ahead and speed that up slightly. Oh, now it's like one. Oh, my first recruit. A cult with one member is only an unusual habit. I must have a recruit. Hello, hanger-on. You're about to become so much more. Oh, my study's open. We'll go ahead and study to improve my Latin. I recall a certain amount from my school days, but I need to brush up. And everything else is kind of just waiting right now. Finally over halfway done on our mystique going away. Restlessness is about to do something real fun. And I believe our cult is now officially complete. Our rise begins. I have founded my cult. This is a step to greater power. Use your cult to recruit and promote followers. Talk with followers about your cult to send them out on cult business. We now have a pawn. Temporary headquarters. And the Mirror of Glory. Let's take a look at that. An occult society dedicated to the understanding of the light that leaks from a fiercer place. Our business is private. We could use somewhere more secret. This one is loyal, but lacks initiative. Let's see what we can do about that. Mirror of Glory. A pawn. A watchman's secret. And a little spending money for some, fancy candles and robes. Doing this will be promoting a believer. Oh, no, we can't. Watchman's secret isn't enough. Never mind. We can't do that yet. Which is okay. Let's go back to Moreland's shop. Let's see if we can find some more neat occult books. We can learn some more lore. So, our I am seeing things has consumed a dread, which, dread, I've seen too much. A nameless gnawing fear has its teeth in my hopes, an existential horror. Dread, you will notice, lasts a hell of a lot longer than contentment, which, yeah, okay, that's probably fair. So our sickness has now turned into an affliction. You will note, suddenly we have no health. That's because our health is currently being represented by the affliction. In order to get it back, we have to dream of the affliction. Resting will restore me if I have the necessary resources. Now we happen to have a vitality, which means we can just pop that there. And all I need now is time. If we didn't have a vitality, we could also put funds up here. But funds are important. So we'll spend our vitality. We also have another annoying, wrong kind of attention. But we'll ignore that for now. That should sort itself out. Or it'll consume my notoriety and then things will get interesting. Either way. Alright, let's see what interesting thing we bought from Miss Moreland today. Wrapped in the King. Detailed accounts by James Colin Murphy of secret bacchanals and ecstatic dances observed in necropolises and graveyards in southern Europe, in Egypt, and in Anatolia. The author is self-confessed ghoul, an eater of buried flesh. He claims to have witnessed the dances while it is feasting. Well, that's a thing. Reason is just about back. The doors of the Palace of Memory are opened. We are now a Latin scholar, which is really handy because every now and then when you buy a book from Miss Moreland's shop, it will be in another language, and unless you have a scholar card to translate it, you can't read it. The dances draw from the traditions of the mysteries, the cults of Isis and of Cybele, but include both symbolic and literal flayings, and the human heart is always central in their rites. The author punctuates his accounts with queasily sensuous descriptions of his own interrupted feasts. Just, just some light reading. Before bed, can't sleep. I'm sure that will, take care of it right away. Alright. As you can see, we have a lot more to pay attention to now. Our first adversary. There's always someone who doesn't understand, who understands too well. This troublemaker may seek evidence of my activities to share with the authorities. We now have a weary detective. This gentleman would much rather be left alone with his pipe and his illustrated London news, but no, apparently some conjurer of abominations has to be hunted down like a mad dog, and apparently no one else can find the time. Sorry, I'm trying to research the occult. Start a cult. You don't have to care. Our pawn, however, has the aspect of edge, which means discuss occult business with a follower. Significant conversations in a smoky meeting room. What do I need from my follower? Send a minion to murder a hunter. My minion's skills are limited. The hunter will probably survive, and the attempt will draw attention. If we fail, my pawn will die. I'm willing to take that chance. I mean, pawns are typically the first piece you sacrifice in a chess game. Alright, that was all of the things. The sick room grows close and stale. Time to get up. Yay, now we have our health back. Which is good, because we're down to 4 funds. Let's go ahead and go back to work here with some unskilled labor. Exotic cravings. What hunger drives us? Another magnet. Let's see if we have a hunger that drives us. It would seem not at the moment. Oh, no. There goes our temptation. The world as it is. Mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I am sane, if that means anything. Now we have a fleeting reminiscence. Fleeting because it's going to go away. Alright, and the watchman, who's the door in the eye, waits in my dreams. If I learn the lantern lore and I dream of this temptation, I can advance my purpose. The need gnaws at me, making me restless. Red wrapped in the king. As these greater feasts, a black pig is always crowned as king before its slaying. On this occasion, its heart was weighed in the balance against a knot of feathers, and its skin became a cape for the efficient. Its flesh was left for the crows, but I confess my interest was not in its carcass, but in the perfumed flesh of the milliner laid fresh in the earth. Neat. A walking chant. A waking. There's no L there. A waking chant. Who could hear this and remain unmoved? The sleeping, the dead, the earth and the sky. It's another piece of lore. Oh, I'm not setting anything right now. Go ahead and study reason again. And let's go ahead and dream of passion. And see what happens if we add in a waking chant. Got another vitality, which is always nice. Now we wait for just a moment or two. Looks like we'll get to find out whether or not our pawn was successful. Hunting a hunter. I await word. I'm gonna lose my erudition, which is too bad. Wonderful. A little bit more money. Our health is fatigued, which is unfortunate, but we have a third vitality, which we'll be able to do something with here in just a moment. Goodbye, erudition. Ah! My minion has not returned. They must have failed. I swear it wasn't me. I mean, it wasn't. It was my minion. I didn't tell them to do it. I just, suggested that maybe it'd be nice if a weary detective wasn't around anymore. Speed up these timers here. Alright, our restlessness just turned into dread, which was immediately consumed by bleak thoughts. Dark days. I must be careful not to let doubts creep in. Dread may provoke full-fledged despair. There we go. Got another erudition. And now we have several vitalities. So now I can show you the last thing that I wanted to show you before I end my introduction to Cultist Simulator. Hopefully not having given too much away. We add a vitality or an erudition or a glimmering, which is the other part of passion. And you have two of them. I am abrim with vitality. If I devote some time to exercise, I'll benefit. If you add two of these cards, the first time you do it, you'll automatically get another of either health, passion, or reason. The next time it gets a bit more complicated. Crowds of sleep, rumpled fields, the wink of a river, a tingling chill. Tonight I will dream of a museum. Oddly specific. In the display cases of the Impossible Museum, I always see an apple, white as snow and hard as marble, a golden beetle in a stern box, a coy geometry awaiting my touch, a black envelope bursting with spring, a brass opera box for instruments of record and measure, a storm in a tin. I always awake before I see the aisle's end. And there's our glimmering, which I was just talking about. So vitality, glimmering, and erudition are the results of work or study or sometimes books that can help you further level up and get additional of the base cards. Thankfully, we don't have another dread for this to consume. But we once again feel a trembling in the air. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. I've grown stronger. I've gained health, but it'll be more difficult to gain health next time. So now you can see we have a second health card, which is always nice. And our first skill, a stronger physique. I have benefited from exercise. Use this with 2 lessons learned to gain more health. How do you get lessons learned? What do you do with your cult? How do you upgrade your temporary headquarters? What are all of these secrets and chants? What do you do with temptation? What is the way? I'm not going to tell you, because that would spoil all of the fun. This has been Cultist Simulator. If you think it looks interesting, I highly recommend you go into it. This is going to sound hypocritical, but as blind as possible. Because really, the fun of this game is the discovery. It's in figuring out how things go together and what things go where and how you can combine different things to get completely unexpected results. Highly, highly recommend it. It is available on Steam. It is also available on mobile, I believe Android and iOS. I prefer it on a tablet interface, if I'm being honest. The phone is a little bit too small to be really comfortable. I mean, your phone view about feels like you can see about this much of the board, which, I mean, the cards scale down, but it just isn't quite the same as having all of this real estate. I believe Cultist Simulator is actually also free if you have Twitch Prime. It is one of the rewards that you can redeem, so lots of different ways to play. Hopefully I've inspired you to take a walk on the darker side. Until next time, I have been Belderin. This has been Cultist Simulator. Good luck.